Today we are looking at the brand new Trials of Osiris weapon, the Prophet. This is a 120 round per minute aggressive scout rifle that deals stasis damage. And it's only the third legendary scout rifle we have in this archetype, at least legendary wise. We have Long Arm, Last Right, and now the Prophet. Now I know we don't have the adept version of the scout rifle, but we turned in nearly 50 Ingrams yesterday, collecting a variety of rolls. Today guys, we have the numbers. We're gonna be breaking everything down for the scout rifle for both my PvE players and my PvP players. Now I'm gonna start by comparing our stats to our other 120 round per minute scout rifles. Like other Trials weapons, the Prophet here is a stat monster. It has the highest base range at 59, the highest base stability at 29, the highest handling at 54, a decent reload at 49, only being beaten out by Last Right. It also has the highest airborne effectiveness at 16, as well as the highest aim assist at 54. And to top it all off, it has the best recoil direction of the bunch, sitting at 84. Again, stat-wise, Prophet here is a monster. Now let's take a look at the perk options. In our third column, we have Discord, Inline Action, Demolitionist, Keep Away, Hipfire Grip, Outlaw, and Rapid Hit. In our fourth column, we have Cascade Point, Explosive Payload, Golden Tricorn, Headstone, Offense Strike, Kill Clip, and Precision Instrument. Now yes, looking at the trait combinations, you can definitely see, considering it is a PvP weapon, or at least it drops from a PvP playlist, that a lot of its trait combinations is meant for PvP. Granted, it does have some good utility inside of PvE, which is where I want to start. For my PvE players, in that third column, we have Demolitionist, where kills with this weapon generate grenade energy, and activating your grenade reloads the weapon from reserves. This is a fantastic perk, especially for grenade-focused builds, but primary weapon kills grant 10% grenade ability energy, and if you're really leaning into stasis, it pairs really nicely with our fourth column perk, that being Headstone. Now before we get into that synergy, could you use things like Inline Action, or Outlaw, or even Rapid Hits? You could. Those are all good perks, as they all increase your reload speed to some capacity. Now the other trait in that third column is Discord. Final Blows with another weapon grants this weapon increased speed, framing down sights, accuracy, and airborne effectiveness. When Discord is active, Final Blows refund ammo, and each kill while Discord is active will instantly refill primary weapon magazine back to full, alongside its other benefits such as increased AE, decreased accuracy cone size, and ADS multiplier to scope in quicker. You can make a play for Discord, guys, but at the end of the day, I'm still gonna settle on Demolitionist. Now this takes us to our fourth column. For my PvE players, Headstone is the winner. Precision Final Blows spawn a Stasis Crystal at the victim's location. Headstone is always a great perk. The synergy with Stasis subclasses, times if you're rocking things like Tectonic Harvest, you'll be able to generate a small Stasis shard from shattering that Stasis Crystal. And these shards grant 10% melee ability energy to go alongside the 10% grenade ability energy from Demolitionist. You can also use things like Whisper of Shards, where shattering a Stasis Crystal grants 500% additional base grenade regeneration for 6 seconds. So you could see the synergy here that's taking place. Now, if you didn't want to go the route of Headstone, what about more traditional damage perks? Things like Precision Instrument. This trait states that dealing sustained damage increases precision damage. Now, we're going to talk about this perk a little more for PvP, but it increases damage with each stack. 4.17% of the first stack, 8.33% of the second stack, and it keeps going all the way up to 25% at 6 stacks. My only issue with this perk, guys, is the duration. Considering when you reload this weapon, you're not reloading an entire magazine. You're reloading 2 shots at a time. So the problem is losing that damage stack, especially when you work to get to those 6 stacks. Now, Kill Clip is also present here, which is a 25% buff, and that lasts for 5 seconds. And the beautiful thing about Kill Clip is you can keep reprocking it. And every time you reload, you're able to proc Kill Clip back to back. Now, what about Golden Tricorn? This is a 15% damage bonus for 7 seconds when you get a kill, and this is at ×1. And if you're leaning into a grenade-based build or even a melee-based build, at ×2, this is a 50% damage bonus for 10 seconds. Explosive Payload is also present here, giving us a 10% increase in damage, and our body shot damage being increased against Carl by 15%. Now we tried out a Cascade Point roll, which does reduce our firing delay, and you're able to shoot 7 shots out extremely fast, only taking 1.78 seconds compared to the base, which takes 3 seconds. The problem is you run out of ammunition very quickly, I might add, which is why if you do go the route of Cascade Point, you may want to go Discord and Cascade Point together. Again, with all that being said, I still prefer Demolitionist and Headstone. Now, what is the best origin trait on this weapon? Well, as you see, we have 3 origin traits. Alacrity, which is a Trials origin trait, where you gain increased reload, stability, and aim assist and range when you're the last living member of your fire team or running solo. This also applies if you're running solo and things like lost sectors or anything else in the game. We also have One Quiet Moment, which grants increased reload speed and handling when out of combat. Swords also gain faster movement speed. And then the final origin trait is text balanced stock, where damaging targets while firing from the hip increases handling, reload speed, and movement speed while aiming down sights. Now this got a big buff in this most recent sandbox, that being update 7.3.5. It now also grants plus 20 range and plus 1.5 degree hipfire cone angle. We did some testing on this, guys, and it is a bit better, although keep in mind, we're still not seeing like DMT levels of hipfire accuracy. Now that's not that big of a deal in things like PvE, but I'm just saying inside of PvP, the origin trait buff, although it is some slight benefits here and there, isn't something that's so overwhelming that you need to enter every single gunfight when shooting from the hip. Now, interestingly enough, it takes 4 hipfire shots to get text balance stock going. But if you rock explosive payload, this counts as 2 shots. So literally landing 2 shots of explosive payload will proc text balance stock, and you'll get those benefits. Now, even though explosive payload does help with that origin trait, guys, I would urge you to be cautious using any weapon with explosive payload in the current sandbox. It actually diminishes your damage. And for instance, on things like 140 round per minute hand cannons, it's keeping you from getting the 3-tap. This is a bug that was present previously in Checkmate. And essentially, the way the damage is working inside of Destiny now with the new sandbox is that you're not getting the full damage from explosive payload as you would if you were just landing a crit without a payload perk. Now, hopefully this gets fixed soon, because that literally kills so many weapons with explosive payload. My God Roll Rose, my God Roll Nation of Beasts, all of those are pretty much sitting on the sideline until this gets addressed. So just a warning there about explosive payload. Now, with all this being said, is this still a scout rifle you should be using inside of PvE? At base, we're dealing 9,497 damage to the head and 6,416 damage to the body against Red Bar Ats. Against Carl, that's 5,915 damage to the head and 3,996 damage to the body. Now, from a single magazine, this is 76,895 damage with a DPS value of 12,815. Now, if you compare this to things like high impact scout rifles, they sit at a DPS value of 14,069. Precisions sit at a DPS value of 11,984. And surprisingly, lightweights sit at a DPS value of 14,846, with rapid fires on top at 15,724. Now keep in mind, that's from one magazine. The moment we introduce reloading, this scout rifle really trails behind. You can actually get a Jaraka with headstone and 4 times the charm, and that's a rapid fire frame. It also has the Vice origin traits. But again, we're not looking for crazy DPS from the Prophets. We're looking at that synergy, that demolitionist headstone combo. That is the unique trait combination for my PvE players. There are so many things you can synergize with Stasis. And I know Stasis isn't necessarily meta right now, but we do know more buffs are on the way. But keep in mind, this season we have those 2 artifact mods which also synergize with Stasis. So again, don't look at the Prophet as a DPS powerhouse. 1, it's a scout rifle, and 2, its archetype is just not meant for that. What it is though is a heavy hitting, headstone creating, demolitionist synergizing Stasis powerhouse of a weapon. And when we get the Adept version, this opens up our Adept mods, which means it's only going to get better. I urge you guys to give it a go. Rock things like Whisper of Rhyme, Whisper of Fissures. You can also do Whisper of Rending, which allows primary weapons to deal increased damage to stasis crystals and frozen targets. And this allows Prophet here to destroy crystals in 1 shot. Combine this with Pillar of Ice on an artifact, where defeating frozen targets can generate a stasis crystal, which doubles up with Headstone, and Hell of the Storm, where shattering frozen targets in stasis crystals deals increased damage, and shattering stasis crystals releases shards of ice that damage and slows targets. So again, fellas, there is synergy here, and I urge you to give it a go. Now moving on to PvP. Right off the bat, one thing you're going to notice about the scout rifle is, yes, it can roll with kill clip. It's a 120 round per minute scout rifle, which means it can 2-tap. Now let me just say, guys, this is fast. When you get this thing going, that 2-tap is happening in 0.5 seconds, which leaves very little room for your enemies to counter. And even though we have other weapons that can achieve that same time to kill value, normally you have to close the gap. When you get the Prophet going, this scout rifle at base range of 59 reaches up to 79 meters. So on those far reaching maps, we're talking 2-taps pretty much from all places. And I feel like we're gonna see more of the Prophet when we get maps like Eternity, or if you're playing 6v6 games like on Widow's Court. Those far range maps, you're gonna see this weapon really thrive. Now what you're not gonna see is a bunch of people hip firing this thing like DMT. Guys, again, yes, the origin trait got a buff. Is it appreciated? Absolutely. It definitely helps. But this weapon is not a hip fire machine like Dead Man's Tale. And look, I got the God Roll. I got hip fire grip with kill clip. I got hip fire grip with offhand strike. And I'm just saying, guys, it just felt bad to shoot from the hip. And then I go over there and put on DMT, and I'm like, wow, this is what I wanted to feel like. But that's what makes Dead Man's Tale an exotic scout rifle versus a legendary. Now, the reason why everybody is crazy about 120 scout rifles right now in this current sandbox is that it can secure the kill in 2 crits in one body, edging out 120 round per minute hand cannons, which required 3 crits. Granted, I still think 120 round per minute hand cannons are still very good, but I can't overlook the fact that 120s like Dead Man's Tale and the Prophet are dealing 92 damage per crit, 55 damage per body, and it is able to secure that kill in 2 crits one body with a lengthier time to kill of 1 second, but that's okay. But every time I try to really use this thing to hip fire, guys, unless someone is really close to you, I am just not feeling it. And I think controller players, it feels worse for you guys actually. Now, if we're not hip firing with this thing, what do we want to pair with kill clip? Well, I was actually rocking keep away, but I really think you can't go wrong with either keep away or rapid hits. Keep away extends our range and increases our reload speed and also decreases accuracy cone growth. Rapid hit, of course, just gives you that stability bump and that reload bump with every precision hit. Both of those are still really good. I just like keep away because even though it does have a tremendous amount of range, I want to make sure when we get into maps like Eternity, I can reach all the way back to those targets that are trying to snipe me and still maintain full damage. Now, what about our other damage perks? Things like Precision Instrument. You can make Precision Instrument work, but keep in mind, guys, it doesn't really move the needle for you until Precision Instrument hits ×4. Now, when it hits ×4, anything past that point, you can 2-tap. Now, obviously in 3v3 modes, that doesn't really benefit you. You would really need to take advantage of like 6v6 to have multiple targets to start stacking those crits. And if you're gonna go that route, I would definitely say you need to go the route of boosting that mag size so that you can fully take advantage of those stacks. But again, kill clip is just better to me here, guys. You don't have to jump through nearly as many hoops, which takes me to my PvP god roll. I think text balance stock is still the origin trait to be choosing here, unless you're playing things like Rumble. If you're doing that, by all means, go Alacrity. Kill clip, keep away, accurized rounds, and for barrel perk, really whatever you want. You can do small bore. Hell, you can even rock fluted barrel and just buff the hell out of its handling to make the weapon feel extremely fluid. Conversely, you can also be flexible in that magazine perk and do something like steady rounds. Again, you really can't go wrong as long as you've got kill clip and something like keep away or rapid hit. I think either one of those are okay. And as far as my people that want to rock hip fire grip, offhand strike, a freehand grip mod, guys, if you want to go that route, have at it. I'm just telling you from my own personal experience, it didn't work out. All right, fellas, that is our review for the Prophet Scout Rifle. Let me know in the comments below what you think. It's a unique weapon for sure. I'm looking forward to getting the adept version of it. This archetype does not have a lot of weapons in it, so it's nice that Bungie is adding more to it. I would definitely like to see a bigger damage buff inside of PvE. Fingers crossed we'll get something like that in the final shape. Well, fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching, and as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.